Welcome to our 5 on 5. We're pleased to welcome in Camila Thorndike with Oregon Climate. Camila, good to see you. How are you today?
Thanks so much for having me. Great.
So the organization you're with advocates a concept called carbon pricing. Tell our viewers first what that is and how it works.
Sure. So right now we're not paying the true cost of using carbon-based energy. We know now that the costs of climate change, which is a consequence of burning fossil fuels, are astronomical. They're costing U.S. taxpayers billions of dollars every year. And economists and policy experts are in consensus that the most efficient and fair way to address that problem is to internalize the costs of using that product into the price. And so a price on carbon simply means that, doing that.
Okay, now give us a little background. Is this? I don't think this is a new concept, but correct me if I'm wrong. Tell us a little bit about the history behind it.
No, you know, this is something of a form of a Pigovian tax. There's two ways to put a price on carbon: either cap and trade or a carbon tax. And that concept has been around since at least the 1920s. This idea of putting a price on carbon has been around for as long as we've known that burning carbon causes these negative consequences. So it's sort of like a cigarette tax in a way. We know that smoking cigarettes causes these deleterious health consequences, and that if we elevate the price of that product, then people use less of it. We know that there's a direct link between, for instance, gas that's $2 a gallon versus $4. Well, now people are buying SUVs. So how do we dissuade folks from using dirty energy? Well, the price is really the way to do that. At the same time that we know people want to do the right thing and buy alternative forms of energy, but those alternative forms are not cost competitive. A carbon price fixes that problem.
Okay, very good. All right, so going more into the economic advantages of this, you know, is it something that we can put numbers on, or is it kind of all in the estimation phase, if you will?
Right. So what our organization is advocating for is a carbon price that reflects the scientific deadlines that we need to make in order to avoid the worst consequences of climate change. So what you can do is tie the price of a ton of carbon dioxide to the level of carbon that we need to keep underground. Right now, scientists say that needs to be about $220 a ton of carbon. And how that translates is looking at some examples around the world. So British Columbia, the province just to our north, has a carbon price of about $26 a ton. And that, over a period of 5 years, led to a 16% drop in the use of fossil fuels and had no negative impact on the economy. And so what they did is something that Oregon can do, is put a fee on carbon as it enters the state, whether that's electricity or liquid fuels, and then offset, in their case, they offset other taxes. And so it's what they call revenue neutral, that it's not a true tax in the sense that the government's not funding any programs. It doesn't go into the general fund. It's simply correcting this unfair market that we have right now, where people want to do good and they can't because it doesn't make financial sense. We can do that here in Oregon and return all the revenue back to people, which is what we're proposing. Okay,
now I assume we want to go about this through legislation. Would that be in the Capitol, or are we talking in Salem here in Oregon?
So our sights are set on catalyzing national policy, because the U.S. needs to take the lead on this crisis. We consume about 30% of the world's energy, and until America puts a price on carbon, it's going to be very difficult for a global carbon market to take hold. However, we know that there's not a whole lot going on in Congress right now on this issue. So Oregon plays a really important role because we believe that the states really are the laboratories for democracy. And if we can model a revenue neutral carbon fee and dividend here, where we put a price on carbon, we turn all the money back to people, we can discredit the narrative that we can't do anything about climate change without wrecking the economy or creating something that's vastly unpopular, difficult for people to bear, so that by the time Congress again considers climate legislation, which they have in the past, they can look to Oregon's example and see how this was done with bipartisan accord and with great impacts for our state.
Okay. All right. Now, if people want to find out more, I know you guys have a documentary coming out. Where can they find this info?
OregonClimate.org is our website, and we encourage folks to sign up there, and you can receive notices. We're really excited about this documentary. It's going to be a short, 10-minute event. There'll be multiple events around the valley where people can come and engage in a conversation or debate, share your thoughts. What does this mean for Oregon, and why do we need to take responsibility and come together as a state to address this problem?
Very good, Camila. Great to meet you. Thanks
No,
so much.
You too. Thanks so much, Greg.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.